Hello, everybody. Welcome to the world's greatest Bronze Age comic book podcast, Flea Market Fantasy. I'm your co-host, Mike Allen. As always, I'm joined by
Michael Dell of the LCS Hockey Radio Show.
That's right. This week, it's your pick, and you like to tie into superhero movies, right?
Yeah, I like to do with what's hip and cool with the kids. That's what I like to do. And Michael, I don't know if you're aware of this. There's a new Marvel movie coming out. I don't know when it's coming out. I'm guessing
I think
soon.
November 5th, I think.
Okay, it's called The Eternals.
Right.
The Eternals. Because Marvel had to do this because there was such a groundswell of demand for The Eternals. Everyone wanted an Eternals movie. They're like, Marvel, please, you have to make an Eternals movie so I can relive the exploits of my hero. I don't know. Yes.
Now, to be fair, no one was demanding a Guardians of the Galaxy movie either, right?
I suppose. But can you name, who's your favorite Eternal, Michael? Can you name some Eternals for us?
Okay, off the top of my head, I can name Icarus.
Yeah.
I can name Makari, because he was in Quasar.
Oh.
Right? Isn't he an Eternal?
I think so, yeah.
And I think that's all I can name.
Yeah. Well, apparently Cersei is an Eternal.
Oh, yes. Forgot about
That's
her,
Cersei, who was in the Avengers.
Yep.
So she's something. But, yeah, the Eternals. When was the last time you heard anyone even mention the Eternals? You know?
Well, I don't read many Marvel comics, but I keep up, and I think they're always kind of around. Like, Neil Gaiman did an Eternals series, right? Like 15 years ago? Did you read that?
I already don't like it.
Oh, that's right. You don't like good writers. I forgot. Okay.
But did you ever read this Eternals we're doing here? It's the original run of the Eternals. We're doing issue 1 from 1976. And did you ever read any of these Eternals?
I think this is one of those ones where I bought a whole bunch of them, didn't read them for 5 years, then sold them. So no, I never read any of them.
Yeah, this is, of course, created, written, and drawn by Jack Kirby.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first project at Marvel where he created everything, where he did it all.
This is after he came back from DC.
Yes. In 1970, Kirby left Marvel for DC, and he created the New Gods, which dealt with mythological and sci-fi elements on a grand scale. But that series ended after 19 issues. So then when he came back to Marvel in 1975, he created the Eternals, which dealt with mythology and sci-fi elements on a grand scale. It's basically the same book.
Sounds familiar.
And the odd thing is, Michael, New Gods ended after 19 issues. So did the Eternals.
Whoa, how did I never realize that? Yeah.
That is so weird, yeah. I guess the New Gods, right? But we talked about them before in the show, but it's a little different. Correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, but weren't there like two opposing planets?
Right. There was Apocalypse and what was the good one called?
I think Jimmy.
No.
But everyone on Jimmy, or it was like a utopia, and then Apocalypse had that dark side fella, you know?
Right.
He was always trying to get it and cause shenanigans. So that's the New Gods. And Kirby only wanted it to be like a limited series. That was his intent when he started it. And then but it was selling so well, DC said, hey, we need to make this a regular series and start putting DC people in it, like DC characters and stuff. So then Kirby lost interest and it ended. You know?
And just so everyone out there listening knows, it was New Genesis and Apocalypse. That's right.
New Genesis.
Right, and the New Gods lived in Supertown anyway.
That's not true, is it?
Yes, it is. Supertown.
See, it was so ridiculous. I thought you were making a joke.
No.
But they're like, no, this is DC. That's probably legit.
It's awesome.
So anyway, all right, but the Eternals. Now we'll get in. We won't explain too much about it because this comic will explain it when we go through it. But it's similar but slightly different.
Right.
Slightly different.
Right.
But so if he didn't rip off his own idea with New Gods, he definitely ripped off Chariots of the God by Eric von Daniken. Did you ever read Chariots of the Gods? My God, do you have any concept of it?
Yes, in high school I was obsessed with von Daniken.
Really?
Yes, can you believe it? Yeah.
I am shocked by this.
Really?
Yeah.
I used to be, oh my God, passionately dedicated to the whole belief that ancient, gods were actually just aliens. 100%.
Yeah, that's basically the thing. The ancient alien theory of aliens created life here on Earth, and then they went away, and any time now they'll be coming back to yell at us.
Right, right.
So, wow, I had no idea. So when you read The Eternals, you could clearly see that they just ripped off.
Oh, yes.
Montana, right?
Right.
And the original title of this book was supposed to be, what is it, Return of the Gods, I think? Or
I'm not
I have it
sure.
written down here somewhere. Return of the Gods was the original name for the Eternals. But if you notice on the cover that we'll be discussing in a moment, Michael, the font of the Eternals title, it's actually the same font even as like Chariots of the Gods.
Get out of town, really?
Yeah, like if you look at the cover of Chariots of the Gods, it has that same kind of font. And so when Marvel Legal said, hey, we're using the same font, we're calling it Return of the Gods, maybe we should change the title just to be safe. So then they changed it to Eternals.
I'm looking it up. Yes, I see now. Yep. Yeah, similar font. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the same font. Yeah, so... so Kirby, people want to call him this creative genius. He just stole off Mondanican for all this, basically.
Still a genius, but yes, he did steal all of it, yes.
He's a genius in knowing where to steal from.
Right.
But yeah, so there you go. All right. Anything else about the Eternals at the top here? I'm looking through. I don't know.
I don't know. I guess the only thing I can say is that, Kirby came back. And unfortunately, Kirby's my favorite artist, but he's probably the first guy who was an artist but wanted to have total control over his stories as well. And, many people followed in his footsteps, like Frank Miller, John Byrne, and then all the Image guys, and to varying degrees, of success. But even Kirby, he needed help, clearly, right? He needed... he needed a Stan Lee. People complained about Stan Lee, but Stan Lee, at the very least, polished up Kirby stuff and made it presentable to a general audience, I think.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna, maybe we should save it till later when we talk about the writing here. But I actually think this is pretty good, Kirby, in terms of writing. This is actually strong for him. Mm-hmm. But like, if you read his stuff on Black Panther, it's just a train wreck. Because he, he basically tries to shoehorn in all the stuff he likes into Black Panther, even though that's a character that shouldn't have rockets and space travel.
Right, right.
But this story here, the Eternals, it's perfect for Jack Kirby. It's everything you think of with Jack Kirby. Because really, Kirby, it's Fantastic Four and that kind of stuff is what you really think of, right?
Right.
The cosmic kind of things.
Right.
So, this story is definitely right up his alley here. And the Eternals, there have been 5 different volumes over the years. And I guess there's a current volume that started in January of 2021. So they got the Eternals fired back up in time for the movie, I guess.
So yeah, like I said, I thought I'd read this, but I guess I didn't, even though I owned it. But because this is all new to me. But here we go. We get the cover. Still only 25 cents. Marvel Comics Group. When Gods Walk the Earth, the Eternals. We've got this gigantic, I guess this is a stone like statue head of a god.
Yeah.
And it's an odd looking, like it's a Kirby-esque sort of armor with like a Kirby-esque face and this weird, almost like breathing thing. It does not look like a human face. It looks like almost like a Star Wars mask, right? Like a funky design.
Yeah, like a robot face or something, but it's supposed to be, it's definitely inspired by like the Incas and the Mayans, that kind of art.
Right.
So
okay, so then we have 3 people in the cover here. We have someone who we later find out is, Mike Harris, aka Icarus.
Ike Harris.
Ike Harris. Mike Harris is someone completely different. And then we've got an old man here who's saying, we found it, the tomb of the space gods. And then Ike Harris is saying, and they're not dead. Look to the stars. The gods are coming back. Yeah. And then down below it says, first issue, the start of Jack Kirby's long-awaited cosmic series.
Yeah, because they're like, you can tell like they're in some sort of a temple or something, and then Ike Harris is pointing out to the sky behind him.
Yeah, there's like I think it's like a sort of like, not a screen, but like a window into space, right?
Yeah. But it's an interesting cover.
Yeah, I mean, again, I love Kirby. This is not his best work, but it's still a cool design.
Yeah, I don't know if I saw this on them, I'd have to. I got to buy this. But
right? It's good. It's a good idea, though. Definitely.
I suppose. But, all right.
All right.
I prefer like an action cover.
Yeah. Well, but I think that I mean, to me though, this is conveying a cool idea, and that's why I like it.
Suppose. All right.
Whatever.
I'm not a big fan of the cover, but anyway. All right, the Eternals. Issue 1 from 1976. Here we go, Mike Hill.
Stan Lee presents the Eternals, right? Anyway, okay, so then they give a little description at the top, and then the title is The Day of the Gods. And again, like on the cover, we have these three people coming into a cave, and there's like this, I guess it's the same face, but from a different angle. It's hard to, yeah, it is, okay.
Yeah.
Now, one thing again, Kirby's my favorite artist, but he was an inconsistent artist, so even though this is the same face, it's very hard to tell.
Well, yeah.
It's from the side.
On the cover, we're seeing it more straight on, and from this, we're seeing it's directly profile here.
Right.
So, but I mean, it's well drawn and everything.
Yeah,
it looks really cool.
So then one of the guys is, "You found it, Ike. You're positively uncanny." And then we cut to the next page, and it's a double-page spread. Now, I guess this is all supposed to be a stone statue, but the guys at the bottom, I guess they're also made of stone, but we basically see this giant face, as we said on the cover, and it's of a guy inside of what looks like a spaceship, but he's gigantic. And then at the bottom, we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, like in this sort of armor or whatever you want to call it, all sort of pushing the ship. And then the guy at the front of the line is kneeling down holding this weird scepter thing.
Yeah, but again, they're all statues. They're all statues. But But again, it's kind of, with Kirby's art, it's kind of hard to tell because everything is so abstract anyway. But yeah, they're all statues, and they're colored like statues. And then behind the spaceship, we see these other like reliefs on the wall, and it looks like there might be another guy in the background, almost like behind another wall kind of thing. You see that guy? He almost looks like a big giant. So. Yeah, and this guy's flashlight is lighting up sort of the middle triangle of this huge, image or whatever this is. Yeah, and we should say that guy, I can't even remember his name, just Dad, but he's an older fella, and he's an archaeologist, and he's there with his daughter, who's assisting him, and her name is Margot, right? Mm-hmm. And then Ike Harris is also there to help him. He's like their cameraman, and he's helping him out. Investigating this tomb. Right.
And so they're like, we found it. This is where this, it's all here as you predicted, Father. The galaxy plaque of the Incas, their space god, and his crest carved in stone. Is that what she says? Wait. And his craft carved in stone. Right. So then again, this is Kirby. He's known for this, but now we cut to the next page, and it's another splash page, right? And this is kind of weird. This is like a funky. It looks like 3 giant statues of more space gods, sort of connected to this thing above them by like tubes or something, right?
Yeah, it's almost like a claw machine when you get the stuffed animals out of.
Yes.
Except they're lowering these guys to the ground.
Good analogy.
Yeah.
And then it's like at the bottom it says outer space technology translated in terms of mythology. Incredible. So yeah, they're kind of looking around. And then see, now this is kind of a weird exchange. When it gets to the part where Ike pulls out the camera.
Oh, by the way, his name is Dr. Damien.
Dr. Damien. Okay.
Yeah.
So then Dr. Damien's like, the woman is like, thanks to Ike Harris, we may have made the greatest archaeological find in history. Then Ike says, perhaps the true story of all which has gone before. Then Dr. Damien says, that takes in a lot of territory, Ike. Your statement covers all of human history. Are you serious about this claim you just made? Again, he's just making a claim, so I don't know why it's such a big deal. But then Ike says, I refer not only to human history, but also to divergent human history. There were others. And then they're like, again, it's like, so what? He's just making a claim. But they're like, do you realize what you're saying, young man? You're intimating that the human species is sharing this world with related forms of life. But this guy, he doubles down and he's basically explaining that there's more going on here than anyone could have possibly known, right? And he's like, he keeps calling him young man. He's like, you're wrong on both counts, Doctor. This is not drivel, and I'm not a young man by your standards. And then Dr. Damon's like, that does it. I won't be shocked into discussing another of his fantastic secrets. Our colleague is bent on pulling my leg, right? So
yeah, he's very upset about all this.
Right.
Like he just makes a comment in passing, and he's like, "What?
Yeah,
How dare you question this?"
Right. So then, what's his name? Ike is like, he's reaching down, and he's like, they're like, what are you hunting for now? And he's like, the most important object in this chamber, sir. It can turn myth into stark reality. It is said that when this object calls to the gods, they will return once more to Earth. So they're trying to contact the gods, right? Meanwhile, we cut over to other people or other beings who are flying in a. These are humans.
It's just a guy flying a plane over the ocean.
Right. And this guy's getting lost in this Bermuda Triangle-esque area, right?
Yeah. He has to eject out of his plane because his plane's going to crash.
Right.
Because we see underneath the ocean there, the deviants are down there.
Right. Yeah, so he's got to eject, and then we see this funky-looking craft. It looks like, I don't even know what it looks like. It's just a big circle thing with an arm thing, and it's all Kirby crackle inside of it, right? I can't really describe it.
Circle thing with an arm thing.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. So it's a disruptor. So it's something that comes out of this, I guess, underwater city, and they pull it back down into it. And we see here these two guys standing here, and this guy all in, I guess, pink and purple. What's his name? That is...
Yeah, he's one of the main dudes here we read about. I can't remember his name. But we'll come across him.
Yeah, we'll get to him later. And then he's got like a servant or whatever. And they are standing in front of another guy.
Yeah, I think that the pink guy's name, I think his name might be Crow, K-R-O.
Yes, you're right. Crow, yes.
And then he's sitting in front of like a guy, kind of looks like a two-legged Jabba the Hutt, sitting in a chair. And he's like the king of the deviants. And his wife is next to him. And they are a couple of jerks.
Yes, they are.
Man.
Yeah, because there's a guy who's trying to talk to them, and I guess he's not, following protocol. And so then...
Yeah, that guy was trying to tell him, hey, the area is clear. We took down that ship, or that plane, so you don't have to worry about anyone seeing us when we go on our mission.
Right.
They're about to go on a mission. And instead of like saying, hey, thanks for the update, they're like, hey, you creep, you should be on your hands and knees bowing before the royalty that we are.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, you've forgotten in whose presence you are, dog. So they're calling them names, right?
Yeah.
And so this is jerks. The deviant royal family, right? The ruling family.
That's right.
And then, they're like, dismiss him, Crow. He reminds us of the curse of our species that we cannot breed in consistent form. So I guess the idea is that every deviant looks completely different, right?
Yeah, I guess we should have explained this beforehand, but no, let's just experience.
Yeah, we'll find out. Yeah, well, it's a mystery. We don't. Yeah, it's all unfolding, right? So these are deviants, and so far all we know is they all look different. And so
but he's mad, but the king is mad that the guy he's yelling at doesn't look enough like a deviant. He looks kind of human, and that's pissing him off.
Right?
He's like, hey, you should look more weird like we do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so then now they're worried that the Eternals may find the beacon before they do, because they want to find the beacon first, right? But we don't know why yet.
Yeah, this beacon is going to call the gods back to Earth, and the deviants do not want that. So.
Right. So then we cut over back to this. No. So then they leave in that ship. Yeah, they leave in their ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, they leave their
Crow does.
Yeah, Crow does.
Yeah.
He leaves in his underwater water thing. Boat.
Because he's supposed to go find the beacon before the Eternals do. That's his mission. So
yeah. So then we cut back over to the three humans. And basically now Ike Harris, as on the cover, he's standing in front of kind of like, I don't know if it's like a dimensional window or a screen, but you can see like planets and moons and space and Kirby Crackle all through this, doorway. And he's like, behold, the universe, the vast home of the gods. And he starts explaining everything. And they're like, there they roam, there they live, And then the old man's like, keep going, Ike, tell us more, but first, tell us who you really are. So then they find out who he really is. He's not Ike Harris, is he? He's Icarus.
Yeah.
And he changed his name so that no one could ever figure out who he is, right?
That's right.
It's almost as clever as when Obi-Wan Kenobi changed his name to Ben Kenobi so that no one could find him.
When if he says, hey, I'm Icarus, everyone just says, who? No one knows who this guy is.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. That's true.
Although I guess I never thought of it, but I guess he's technically the Icarus of mythology, though, right?
I think that's the idea.
Yeah. Because Cersei is like the Cersei of Ulysses and all that stuff.
Well, this is where it gets confused. Yeah. But there's also a Zeus in the Eternals, isn't there? That's what's confusing, but there's also a real Zeus in the Marvel Universe. So I think Kirby was implying that these characters were separate from the Marvel Universe, but then later on they integrated them, as far as I know.
Yeah.
So then basically Icarus starts explaining, the origin of the Eternals. And he's like, it all began with the coming of the gods to Earth when it was populated only by beasts. And they show like a spaceship landing on Earth. And we see like these cavemen, right? These man-apes like the beginning of 2001. And basically they get taken onto this ship. And then they're given cosmic chemistry that would father the races to come. And so because of the Eternals... because of these gods that we haven't
Celestials.
Met yet. Yes, that we find out later, the Celestials. Because of them, interfering with natural man-ape evolution, or ape evolution, or whatever, now there are 3 races that are created because of that. The Deviants, who we already met, who look like, each one of them looks like a different kind of sort of monster. Then we have humans who, are us. And then we have the Eternals, which are, I guess they're the eternal bred, few in number, and were immune to time and death. Like the gods, they lived apart from all other living beings. So they're kind of like superhumans. And the Deviants are like kind of below humans, and they actually live underground, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the Eternals got like superpowers and whatnot.
Right.
And we should say Icarus, it's not spelled the same as the Icarus of
it's
our
with a
mythology.
K instead of a C.
Yeah. So that's why it's a little weird, but all right.
Right. So then we see that, so they explain that the Deviants lived in Earth's inner depths where they toiled ceaselessly at creating new weapons. The myths of man are filled with the terrors inspired by clashes with Deviants, right? And then we show that the Eternals took to the highest mountaintops. They probed the universe with their minds and developed powers which surpassed those of all other Earth life. They were regarded with awe and fear. And then we see humans were just, savage idiots, basically, right?
Yeah, kind of. But the Eternals, again, the highest mountaintop, like Mount Olympus.
Exactly,
like
right.
The same thing.
Yeah. So we kind of assume these inspired all ancient myths and religions, right?
Yep.
So then Ike Harris or Icarus has already finished explaining his thing, and then he looks up on the reflector screen and he's like, "Look, the ship of the gods, leaping light years in second. It's on its way to Earth. The beacon shall guide them. I know I can find it now." So then, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, this. Maybe I'll wait. But this point makes no sense because he's just, here comes the ship. Now I can find the beacon.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. That makes no sense. I thought they were coming because of the beacon, but anyway.
Exactly.
And also, can I point out that, not to, get specific about physics here, but if he can't see it faster than the speed of light, even if the ship is traveling faster than the speed of light, the light reflecting off the ship takes the speed of light to get to us. So he wouldn't know that, right? But it doesn't matter.
Wow. Look at Mike L going all scientific on Jack Kirby.
Yeah. Woo! So then we cut back over to Crow, right?
Yep.
And he's in his little submarine, and he's with his goons. And then he's like, they can't do it. The Eternals, for all their great mind powers, have failed to find the beacon. But suppose they trained one of their kind, sharpened his senses tenfold for the task. Why, he could. What a leap, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway. So then, again, this is not Kirby's best work, but there's some great imagination here. Like, he's floating along and he goes into this big stone monster mouth. He goes in and then he comes up to this part in the ocean or whatever where there's air. So the boat comes up to the surface, and then they climb out, and we see them walking on these like stone stairs, and it's really cool. So then he's like, he's got all those goons, and he's like, there's still some time left. We can waste his efforts. We can destroy the cosmic beacon. I see the foe. It's Icarus of the polar mountains. And so then we look over and we see Icarus standing next to that big stone thing, and he's trying to activate it, I guess. Or I guess he has.
Yeah, because we can see beep. There's like beep, beep, beep in the background.
Right.
Of the other
so it's like this big stone thingamabob. So Crow and the other deviants start shooting at him. They're shooting lasers, but Icarus has a superpower. So he's like, the deviants are late, much too late to stop the arrival of the gods. And then he basically puts up this impenetrable shield, right, and blocks their lasers or whatever. Then he removes his cap and glasses to reveal the features which mark his kind. It is the eyes that release the powers stored in the dynamics of the eternal brain. It is the eyes which deviants fear. But of course, they look exactly like normal eyes, so...
well, they look a little yellowish.
Yeah, okay, yellow. You got me.
Maybe it's jaundice.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So then basically, so then he shoots back lasers out of his eyes. And then I love, this is a pure Kirby thing. Get his eyes, use the shroud gun. So this guy pulls this laser gun that shoots out an actual like cloth shroud, it looks like, right?
Just a blanket. He shoots a blanket on him.
It shoots out, and it envelops Icarus. It's awesome.
Yeah, this guy with his laser eyes is no match for a blanket.
It's almost as deadly as the cellophane S symbol in Superman 2. But anyway. So, Crow and his buddies are all running towards them. And then now Dr. Damien's shooting a gun. Blam. Bam. And then all of a sudden, at that moment, the entire planet seems to shake from a mighty sound, which hasn't been heard since ancient times. So something is now floating above them and shooting all this energy. And sure enough, it must be, the gods returning, but we don't see who they are yet. And so then Icarus and Dr. Damien and what's the girl's name? I don't even know.
Margot. That's his daughter. Dr. Damien's
they run
daughter.
out. Like, what he says is true. The gods are landing. And then they look up, and then it says the silence is broken. And then Crow is like, the deviants shall fight to the last. And Dr. Damien says, how can you fight what you haven't yet seen? And then Icarus says, we shall see them now. And in doing so, learn more about ourselves than we have ever known. Well, guess what? I was just getting into it, but that's the end.
Yeah, that's what you want. You want to end it like that.
Keep you wanting, coming back for more, right?
Yeah, because you get to that last panel, you're like, I want to see what these gods look like.
That's true.
I want to... And I did read ahead, Micah. I read about 4 issues of this.
Whoa!
And, the gods kind of look like giant robots with teacups on their heads.
Right, this is true.
Yeah.
I do love the design of the new gods, though. Or these Celestials, though. Because, they look like humanoid robots, but they don't have real faces. They just have, kind of like designs over their face. It's really cool.
Yeah. There's another little notice here. What says next issue? For the sake of the gods, get the next issue. Read the Celestials from space. And then it says, it is somehow fitting that representatives of Earth's 3 dominant races are on hand to meet the master image imprinted on their genes. What do the gods look like? What can they do to an unsuspecting Earth? So there you go. Got to put down the quarter, Mike, and get the next issue.
Exactly.
So
Kirby did it right. He knows how to tell a story, right?
Yeah, there it is. The Eternals issue 1. Yeah, it's pretty good. I enjoyed it. Of course, here's the thing. I've said this many times on the show, but I respect Kirby more than I like Kirby. Like his compositions, his energy is all great. But the figures themselves have a lot to be desired. It's like if you either like Kirby's style or you're not going to like it.
But you also know this is unfortunately now past his peak. You know that, because obviously his Fantastic Four stuff was better than this. You know that, right?
Well, yeah, but not much better. I mean, it's all basically he always drew eyes and arms and legs weird. Like the anatomy is always a train wreck, and his faces are it's just what it is. Everyone's fingers are cut off flat at the ends. It's just what it is.
But at least his Fantastic Four work was much more consistent and polished, and Like that's his Fantastic Four work is the best superhero art I've ever seen personally.
Well, Michael, I will say that most Kirby historians think he peaked with New Gods issues 6 through 8.
I actually agree, but I didn't think that I was allowed to talk about DC Comics on this show, so I didn't mention it.
I looked at the New Gods. I looked at those issues just to see what peak Kirby would look like, and it looks a lot like this.
No, it's better. It's better. Trust me. The Pact, issue 6, I think it is. Oh, peak Kirby right there.
But yeah, so if you like Kirby style, you're gonna love it. If you don't, you're gonna find issues with a lot of this. But it's I like Kirby, but I don't love how he draws figures and stuff like that. But whatever.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But this is, you may not think it's the best Kirby, but it's classic Kirby in terms of the design and all these.
Oh, the designs are incredible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they really are. They're impressive. Like all these little statues and tube inscriptions and everything.
Even, and I gotta admit, I skipped ahead too. Some of these ships designs are amazing, and just everything. And I would actually argue issue 2 looks better than number 1, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But I love the concept. Of course, you stole the concept, but whatever. But I think this is the perfect way to do an issue 1 of a series. Like,
right.
You get action in there. You get a little fight scene. You get some drama. You get exposition to explain everything, but it's done properly by Ike explaining it to people who don't know what's going on instead of to the reader or to characters who do know what's going on. I really liked how it was structured and had a great ending because it makes you want to buy the next book.
Yes.
So I really enjoyed reading this.
Yeah, and I mean, I've read some 70s Kirby, and it's all kind of like this. It's very entertaining. It's very fun. Some of the dialogue is a little wonky, but overall, I really like it.
Yeah, and again, like some of the, like the beacon, the whole time he's looking for this cosmic beacon, he can't find it. But then he looks up in the sky, oh, the ship's coming home anyway. Now I will find the beacon. Who cares? You don't need the beacon. Apparently the ship's right there.
Right. Good point.
And then he says, now I'll find it, and they cut away. And then when they come back to him, he's found it. They don't say how he found it. They don't say,
Right.
So yeah, he takes some liberties there with storytelling, but what can you do? It's Jack Kirby. What can you say? Any other thoughts here, Michael?
I don't know. Only that I actually do think it would have benefited from not tying into the Marvel Universe. Actually, something that people have talked about even with the movie. It's like the Eternals have always been here, but they didn't interfere with the Infinity War. They didn't interfere with when the Earth was invaded by aliens.
Well,
sorry.
I just read one little thing. I guess the Thanos snap is what awakened them.
Oh,
or made them.
I see.
So I think that's how they explain it, but I don't know. That's what I heard. But
okay.
Who knows?
All right, I believe that.
I believe that.
But I did
hear...
what
about this Eternals movie, though? Who plays Icarus? Ike Harris. Any idea?
It's funny. I don't know, but I'm sure we could easily Google it, right?
Yeah, because I think Salma Hayek's in this movie, right? I think she plays Cersei, if I'm remembering.
So let me see here. Salma Hayek is Ajax.
Okay, that is not Cersei at all.
Angelina Jolie is Thena. Oh, Richard Madden from Game of Thrones is Icarus.
Who's Richard Madden on Game of Thrones?
He was Robb Stark, I think. Did you watch Game of Thrones?
Robb Stark?
Yeah. Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched some Game of Thrones.
So he was the oldest son, without spoiling it, he was the oldest son of the first king. The house.
Oh, I'm thinking of Jon Snow. Jon Snow, but he's in this too, though, right?
That's what's funny, yes. And he plays the Black Knight, which has no connection to Eternals, as far as I know, so I don't know why he's in this, but whatever.
Well, that's how they're tying everything together, I guess, eventually. But he's not the Black Knight in this. He's just Dane Whitman, who I think he becomes the Black Knight maybe at some point, you know what I mean? Kind of like they're setting the stage for it. But
okay, and then
they're not going to make him an Eternal, are they? The Black Knight?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. He's just another guy. Then we've got, I don't know this girl, but Gemma Chan, beautiful, is playing Cersei.
Oh, okay, so she's Cersei. All
Don Lee is playing Gilgamesh. Again, I didn't know he was an Eternal. Maybe I'm wrong. Kumail Nanjiani is Kingo.
Yeah, that's that guy from Silicon Valley, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen that. But yeah, I recognize him. And then the rest, like, we don't have to go through all of them. But, oh, look at this. Well, they've gender swapped Makari. So Lauren Ridloff is Makari from Quasar. And there's a lot of people. Like, Leah McHugh is Sprite.
Yes, there's like 1,000 characters
Yeah,
in this
there
movie.
is. Harry Styles is Star Fox. How did I not know this? Harry Styles in this. Did you know that?
No,
Okay.
I don't know any of this. Yeah.
Wow, okay. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. And despite everything I just said, I did hear it is the lowest reviewed Marvel movie ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Well, the last I saw, it's getting about 65% approval. Right. And people say it's visually stunning, but the story is lacking at times.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's, part of the problem when you have 1,000 characters. You just have to...
I agree.
Need to whittle that down a bit. Yeah. So yeah, the Eternals. Will you go see the Eternals, Michael?
Of course. I see every, superhero movie. I don't know if I'm going to like it, but I'll give it a chance.
Yeah, I really have no desire to see it. And it has Selma Hayek and Angelina Jolie, and I still have no desire to see it.
Well, that's the thing is, to be honest, I do give every Marvel movie a chance, but this one is probably... Even though I love the Eternals, the trailer itself, it's not giving me much incentive to want to see it, Yeah,
I'm just not really into too much cosmic stuff, It takes a lot to get me into it. Like,
sure.
The Avengers, all right, Fantastic Four, okay, but like the Eternals, not so much.
I know what you mean.
I don't know. Sorry, Michael, 1 out of 10, what do you give the Eternals issue 1 by Jack Kirby?
I think because the concepts are so great, and it's done
stolen,
and so original and done in such a original way, I'll give it a 6 out of 10.
Whoa, that is low. Holy hell! Because I gotta tell you, I'm going 8 out of 10.
What?
8 out of 10. Yeah, because I love the setup for it. I love how I think it's an ideal issue 1 for a series.
Whoa!
And again, this is it's Kirby being Kirby, So it's. What do you want out of a comic book? What do you want?
So you don't really like Jack Kirby, and you think it was all stolen, but you give it an 8.
Yeah.
And I love Kirby. I think it's really good, but I give it a 6. Huh.
Yes, because what's on the page, like it's a good like if you're looking for a fun comic book, especially from this time period. Like if I was a kid in the '76 and I read this, I'd be, oh, hey, this is exciting,
Yeah.
But I just think it's Kirby. This is like classic Kirby, so. This is what he's meant to do, And
sure.
I enjoyed it. So, yeah, I'll go 8 out of 10 for the Eternals.
Interesting.
I actually read more, Michael. How many times do I ever keep reading when we do a review?
Very
rarely. Yeah.
Rare, yeah.
So this is one of the few times I actually read more. And I enjoyed the other issues, too. They're okay. They're fine.
Right.
But, so... Because, again, this isn't my kind of thing, though.
Right.
Like the cosmic stuff. But I still... enjoyed it, so 8 out of 10.
All right. So next week, I don't know if this was a secret or not, but we have a guest returning. Huh?
Yeah, I believe you said Kevin Jank is coming on next week.
It's not a surprise.
You told us last week, I think.
Oh, okay.
And you are going to let him pick his own book.
That's right.
And now's the part of the show where you tell us he picked Detective Comics. Issue 432 or something.
Don't be ridiculous. He picked Superman versus Batman. No, I'm kidding. No, Kevin Jank has picked none other than Contest of the Champions, number 3. Yes. Have you ever read Contest of the Champions?
I have.
Okay, so have I. It sounds like you didn't like it that much, did you?
In concept, great idea. The execution, They kind of dropped the ball there a little bit at the end because they just kind of forget about the rules of the thing, right?
That's 100% what happens. But
yeah, they set up this whole premise and then they just kind of, oops, we forgot how to keep score.
Which is ridiculous, which shows that they were less organized than this show. But anyway, I'll just say that we'll talk about it next week, but the cool thing about this is it was the first time we saw every single Marvel character together in one story. So this predates Secret Wars, right?
Not every single character.
Virtually. You'll see.
Well, no, I've read it. I know. It's not like every character. It's a lot of characters.
Every superhero.
They also shoehorn in a ton of new characters that are terrible that they try to...
Yes, this is true.
So yeah. But... Alright.
Anyway.
Like, I can tell you right now, like, the Eternals weren't there. You know?
But did they exist? Oh, yes, they did.
Yes, they
You're
did.
right. Darn it. Okay, you got me there. All right, case closed. All right, there you go. Thanks again for joining us on another episode of the world's greatest Bronze Age comic book podcast. You can hear every episode of Flea Market Fantasy on the Comic Book Syndicate Stitcher channel, Spotify channel, and Apple Podcast channel. Also, you can follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and the Comic Book Syndicate website. One week, I pick a Bronze Age comic. The next week, Mike Dell picks. Sometimes Kevin Jank picks. So, until next Tuesday, dispatch!